Peace and good afternoon, Wolverine fans and college football fans. This is the I Told You So game recap episode of the Big House Breakdown. Blue brings the Boa to a smash win, Michigan versus Washington. So let's just get to it, man. Let's just get to it. I'm your host, Vic. I'm glad you guys could turn into our CFB Sports Talk channel dedicated to the Michigan Wolverine. Focus while viewing the total landscape of college football. So let's get to it, do it like we always do. Here we go. So thanks everybody for joining. Once again, my name is Vic, and we're going to talk about the win that was Michigan at home versus the Washington Huskies. So the Washington Huskies came to town Saturday, 12 p.m. Played a spirited game, gave it their all. Jonah Coleman had some bright moments, and so did Desmond Williams. Desmond Williams. So did Demond Williams. They all had bright moments. The catch to Boston. But you know what? Let me just go moment to moment. So Bryce Underwood completed. Well, let me read the stats real quick, so we know what everyone did and what was going on. So Michigan passed in the win, 24-7. Michigan passed for 230 yards, rushed for 187 yards, which was the difference in the game, and for a total of 417 yards. Whereas Washington, led by Demond Williams, threw for 209 yards, rushed for only 40 yards, and with a 249-yard total and three turnovers. So Bryce Underwood was 21 for 27 for 230 yards and two touchdowns, and Demond Williams was 20 for 32 for 209 yards, with three interceptions and no passing touchdowns. Jonah Coleman had 50 yards for a touchdown. Jordan Marshall had 25 carries for 133 yards, a touchdown. And let's see, was there anything else? Bryce Underwood ran 7 for 25. Demond Williams ran 15 for 19 yards. Boston was 4 receptions for 71 yards. Coleman was 3 for 41 yards. Vine was 3 for 35 yards. Roebuck was 3 for 27 yards. Zach Marshall had 5 catches for 72 yards and a score. Andrew Marsh had 5 touches, 5 receptions for 49 yards and a score. Tony Ellie had 3 receptions for 38 yards. Donovan McCulley had 2 for 21 yards. They should have went to him a lot more. And Samaj Morgan was 2 for 20 with a drop. So that's how the game broke down offensively. Defensively, it was pretty much all Michigan. I'll just read that out. Zeke Berry had 6 tackles. Jimmy Rolder had a sack. He had a sack and he had an interception, not a sack. Moore had 2 sacks. Who else contributed mightily to the cause? Jacob Oden had a interception. Dominic Nichols, not Dominic Nichols, Jay Nichols, and Cole Sullivan had an interception. Right. So the tail of the tape went something like this: Bryce Underwood passed to Andrew Marsh for 7 plays, 80-yard drive, capped that off by a touchdown. Zavada for the extra point. Jonah Coleman rushed for 1 touchdown. That was Washington's only score on the day. Jordan Marshall ran in for a 14-yard score right up the gut. Bryce Underwood completed a touchdown to Zach Marshall in a 9-play, 62-yard drive. And then there was a field goal by Zavada. And that kind of iced it right there. So that's what we're dealing with so far in the game recap. Michigan versus Washington. Um, Big Blue pulls out the Boa and has a smash win over the Washington Huskies. So the good, the bad, the ugly of the win. Okay, let's talk about that real quick because that's really important that we do that because that's going to kind of be the breakdown within itself. Um, Give me one sec to change something, and then we can get started. Boom. Okay, cool. So the good, of course, you know the good. I just read off the good. You got Bryce Underwood was very efficient this week. 230 yards on what is it? He was 230 yards on 21 for 27 pass attempts. So that's pretty good. That's right up there with the national average. And if you're getting that out of your freshman quarterback, lot of potential, man. That's a lot of poise. That's a lot of efficiency. That's exactly what you're looking for in a game that you needed a rebound on from a really bad loss to a USC team that we should have played better. Self-inflicted wounds versus that USC team. But this is why I say we. That's why I say on my channel that we stay on the bright side. Everybody wanted to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They wanted to fire Sharon. They wanted to fire Wink. They wanted to do all this crazy stuff, and you don't know what type of coaches that are out there, man. You might be, look at all the teams that Michigan has beaten. Look at all the teams that are losing right now in college football. Lou Fickle and all these other coaches that can't get off the schneid because, you know, they're always middle of the road. The Minnesotas and the Nebraskas and the Wisconsins and the Washingtons, and they can't get off the schneid because they just don't have the coaching. We have proven coaching both at the professional level and the college level right here, and we want to get rid of them for what out there exactly? For like a used coaching carousel? Come on, man, you got to do better than that. A2 fans, we better than that. Just give us some time, let them go to work, let them lick their wounds, let them do what they got to do, and come back and have a solid win like what happened this week. And if anybody wants to chime in on this very topic that of the good, the bad, the ugly of the game, you can do so. Um, you can chime in. You can tap in. Don't come over here trolling. Tap in with something logical to say. Even if you're a college football fan that's not a Michigan fan, you too can tap in and be a part of what we're talking about right now. Because this is the time of the year when every win, every loss matters toward the college football playoff. And, you know, we got to hear it. We got to have it from you. So if you want to join the show, the way to do so is StreamYard.com, 2XRGS3GTEH. And you too can tap in and win with the show. I'm going to turn this into a ticker so that everybody can see and everybody can tap in while we explore the good, the bad, the ugly of what was going on during the Michigan win over the Washington Huskies. So what was interesting about the game that I thought is that Damon Williams came in like this Michael Vick type. And he had some really good outings versus Maryland. He had a good outing versus it was Maryland. It was Ohio State. He chewed up in between the 20s versus Ohio State. He chewed them yards up. Versus Maryland, he chewed them yards up. And then it was another team. He had a pretty good outing versus the tougher teams on his schedule. And he uses athleticism to his advantage to really, make a difference in the way that his team moved the ball up and down the field. And then, of course, Jonah Coleman joins in with his hard rushing, his one cut rushing. And then, of course, all the receivers, Boston, Vine, Roebuck. Washington always seems to have a great trio of receivers that you have to respect. So we came into this game thinking that we were going to have a slugfest or at least an offensive showing. And yeah, they completed some really crazy passes, like that particular one that they completed on Mason Mason Curtis. And you know, as a safety, you got to kind of make that baseball turn, but you got to kind of whip your head around and not lose track of the receiver if you're the half field safety on the opposite hash, which Mason Curtis was, and the route kind of wound up to the opposite end of the field, and you got to really get on your horse and and be a part of that and get in the fight, you know, to make that a legit pass defense. You know what I'm saying? You can't just let receivers just catch the ball, because if that receiver didn't fall on the ground, that's a touchdown. You know what I mean? In any other situation, that would have been a touchdown. So that's another bad uh, point of the game. Give me 1 second. Sorry about the interruption. So, little technical difficulties. Had to deal with baby girl calling on the phone and see what she wanted. They know I'm live, so family first. But anyway, so we're talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of what's going on with the Michigan Washington game, and so we talked about the baseball turn. We talked about who's looking better and better every week, Zeke Berry. So that was a good. Zeke Berry is really coming into his own as the season is matriculating, as the season is getting bigger and better. There, it's he's really looking better and better every game. I would like to see Jair Hill step up and be a little bit better. But the secondary is rounding into what it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, the bad part about it was we lost Link. We lost our offensive tackle. I hope he is able to recover from his injuries. I think that's lower body. I think it's a lower body injury. I'm not quite sure. I would have to look into. Um, I would have to look into his injury and see what's going on. Let me do a quick search to find out. Let's see if there's anything up on that right now. Yeah, because he went out on a cart, and that's never a good thing to say. Also, I hope the tight end for uh, Washington is good too. Morrison, he went out on a stretcher as well. Oh, he suffered a knee injury. Okay, yeah, yeah. So that might be season ending for him, according to what I'm reading. He suffered a knee injury, and unfortunately, with those big dudes, those big dancing bears, there's really nothing you can do with all that weight bearing down on those joints. I just wish him a speedy recovery. Um, we're down to our last left tackle. The great news is, or the good news is that Blake Shelton came in and replaced really well. He looked really big and looked like he was ready to take on the role. Looked very imposing. We looked like we didn't really miss a beat. We'll see what he looks like versus better competition. But I'm glad that Michigan has a 2, 3 deep at that position. But I remember during the offseason, it was him, um, Babaloa, and Link all competing for that tackle spot. So there's a lot of competition and a lot of depth there. Offensively, what else was going on? Oh, I'm so proud of Jordan Marshall, man. Jordan Marshall was a tank out there. When I say a freaking Sherman tank, a freaking Sherman tank out there, man. He was running, churning. He was our boa constrictor within the game. He kept the game managed. He kept the chains moving. That looked like the Alabama game all over again. If they really wanted to, they could have just, scored another running touchdown if they wanted to toward the end. So that would be a good thing. I think maybe they should have tried to, if you want to be, on your Bobby Bowden sort of the thing, where you think, scoring more impresses the NCAA committee and the college playoff committee. The more points you score, the more you impress them. Maybe Sharon Moore has to take a page out of that so that Michigan can be in contention for. But they made it back into the top 25, so that was another good that came from the win. I'm jumping right now, just trying to remember, time, place, game situation about the game that I was really impressed by. Um, I was impressed by Derek Moore's game. I was also impressed by Rajon Benny's game. Now he didn't show up in the stat lines, but man, out of the 2 technique and the 3 technique, he was really putting a lot of pressure on Demond Williams, and he might be the reason, low key, why Michigan won that game defensively, because when Rajon Benny does his thing up front and pushes the pocket from the out of the 2 tech or the 3 tech, that runs Demond Williams right into Derek Moore, who also had a good game. And they complemented each other well in that regard. The thing I didn't really care for, one of the bad, was our short yardage defense. I thought our short yardage defense lacked a lot to be desired. Even though we had really good linebacker play, I thought there was a time where it was like a third and short, and Jonah Coleman went through for about maybe a 2 yard or a 3 yard gain. I thought like Ernest Hausman could have met him right in the hole and shut all of that down, and then Michigan would have got the ball back with great field position. And we kind of missed the opportunity there. If y'all know what I'm talking about and y'all are feeling what I'm talking about, please give me a comment, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm trying to grow the show, trying to grow this particular channel, this particular show. If you're listening and you want to be a part of the show and you want to, you got some X's and O's to talk about in terms of the Michigan win, or you got some X's and O's to talk about in terms of any college football game that was on this weekend, you can pop on. The call letters are below, or you can email me at vic7@gmx.com, vic7@gmx.com, and we can talk about making you a part of the show. So we're back to, did I go over every part of the offense? Okay, Donovan McCulley. So Donovan McCulley made a great catch, gained 15 yards, and they stopped going away from him. Now, I don't know if that was purposeful or if Donovan McCulley was running a lot of, over routes, a lot of deeps to open up what was a really, really good passing game for Andrew Marsh. I think that's what probably was the case, because they probably figured, Washington probably figured, well, let's take Donovan McCulley away. Matter of fact, I did see them double McCulley at one point. So they were just, so I guess Chip Lindsey was just like, all right, we're going to run a lot of over, a lot of deep concepts with McCulley so that we can open up the underneath for our tight ends and our slot routes. And our number 2 and our tight ends feasted all day. Marshall uh, played a great game. He had a coming out party, even though he dropped a couple of passes. And, you know, uh, Underwood was putting some heat on those passes. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's one thing Underwood can improve on a little bit, is putting a little touch on the passes. Seems like he did that in the second half and a lot of things opened up for Michigan. And I know why he does it. He does it primarily so that he could be ahead of the DB and he can, avoid turnovers. And while that's commendable because he has done a great job this year of keeping the turnovers down, for a rookie quarterback to only have thrown 3 interceptions at this point in the year, that's pretty damn good. Most rookie quarterbacks at this juncture in the year got 6 or 7 or 8. They're running amok with the turnovers and bad play, and you really can't say that about Bryce Underwood. And he throws a great ball. There's not a throw he can't make. So yeah, so I was proud of Marshall. I was proud of the game plan that maybe was supposed to feature McCulley, but because maybe they rolled coverage his way or they bracketed it a little bit more, they started featuring Morgan and Marshall in the passing game, right? And I can't wait to get back, Klein and Hogan Hansen, so we can have all our compliments back at receiver because it seems like our tight ends are doing the damn thing and really complimenting our passing unit really well. So I was really happy with the tight ends, and also I was also happy with Max Bredesen. He played a great game, man. He was out there putting dudes on their ass, sealing blocks, lead running. He was doing everything. That's how Gadget do. We're gonna miss him a lot, man. And I guess at a certain point we have to start running some replacement fullbacks in place of him so that they can be just as effective as he is at our max protection and our lead blocking. So I was I'll say that for offense. Now defense. Like I said, the corners, I want to see them continue to be consistent. I want to see Jair Hill, as talented as he is, be a little more, heady at the point of attack. He has good coverage. He's always there, but I'd like to see him get his hands around, and instead of being so his head around, and instead of being so handsy with the receiver, I would like to see him um, get his head around faster and you know, be in position to take advantage of those 50-50 balls a lot more. Um, Cole Sullivan played a really great game. He's maturing well. He's a really great find in the pass game. He'll drop in that flat and play that hook to curl. Man, that flat to curl route, he eats that up. He's very knowledgeable of what he's doing there. He has a great sense of what teams want to do in the flat to slant to hook the curl concepts, and he gets right up underneath those, and that's his second pick in that very same situation. Um, Reminds me of Barrett, our old linebacker from the championship season. He was very good at pass coverage too. So that's gonna serve us well down the line when we have to play teams like Ohio State that like to run a lot of underneath with their tight ends, and we have to in their slot receivers, and we have to cover those hook to curl concepts that you know give their offense easy receptions, and then we'll have Cole Sullivan there to eat it up like he's slurping on a plate of spaghetti. So really like him, and I'm glad he's young and he has a lot of time to maximize what's going on with the a lot of time to maximize what's going on with um, his play and learn the playbook. And he took a while to get on the field. He was one of our more energetic, bounce around, make a lot of plays, um, defensive linebackers for about 2 years now. He came in as a freshman like that. So now it seems like he really understands, something going out, something coming in, and he gets right in position to make great plays. The ugly. Wasn't crazy about the punt game. Wasn't crazy about the kicking game. We Zavada is usually a lot more consistent. He missed one, so we left some points on the field. We left 1 point out there on one drive, and then we kicked the field goal in the first half on another drive. So those were all touchdowns. So this really should have been a 30-something game to 7. We left some points out there. Ugly. Oh yeah, man. If I don't know what's going on, and maybe this has to happen in the press for Sharon Moore to pay attention to it. But our kick return and punt return game has to be better. And I'm not sure what we got to do to get it. We can't put our offense on the 10 simply because our punt returner is so worried about fumbling the ball that they don't even attempt to return it. Samaj Morgan is fleet footed. He got the quicks on you once he gets the ball in his hand and he's going. But if he's not confident there, put Jordan Young back there, put someone else back there, the young boy, the young running back. They probably don't want to burn his red shirt over that though. The speedy running back that we have, Micah Kayapana, he could be our kick returner and punt returner. They may not want to burn his red shirt doing that, but we need something out of that position, man. We are just not looking good at kick return and punt return. And we got to be able to flip the field because our offense just doesn't score in bunches. You know what I mean? We don't score like in a 2-minute capacity. We might put up one score, but are we going to be able to put up two points in 2 minutes? I doubt it. I doubt it. Anyhow, so that remains an ugly, and I would like to have a recap one episode where we can't say that our special teams was ugly. You know what I'm saying? I like to say our special teams was an ace or was a positive or a benefit for the team. And also, let's see what else was a good, a bad, or a ugly going into the review of the game. I already talked about that. Oh yeah. So crap analysis, man. No crap analysis, just getting after this. So let's talk crap analysis. Washington was supposed to beat us. Damon Williams was supposed to be little Michael Vick running around, going crazy on us. And he did some great things. He scampered a couple times and he threw some bombs that connected, 20-20. But the defense was bend but don't break. And they handled their business. They stopped Washington when they needed to. And those long bombs that they connected on, if we had a little better placement there, those bombs are like one shot, kind of 50-50 balls if you're in good position to defend it. And that would erase a lot of the statistics that Damon Williams even threw for on Saturday. So, we'll count them because they're real and they did happen. But they're like one-offs in a way because those are 50-50 moments, Who knows Mason Curtis is a pretty good defender for the most part. Who knew that he would get lost on a baseball turn and give up that big play? But then, the football energy was good to us in the second half because then Jacob Oden comes up with that lap interception of Damon Williams on the very same deep kind of pass that went right through the hands. I believe it was Boston. So, those would just be some of the things that I observed in the win. The good thing is this, right? And here's a great thing, and I'll end it with this. Michigan is becoming a real embattled team. So what does that mean? That means if you're playing a team of a good caliber like a Washington or even a USC or even a Nebraska or even a Oklahoma, right? Those are our kind of marquee teams that we played so far. And we've been kind of 50-50 on the wins and the losses and those against those blue blood teams, right? We're battle tested. Michigan is battle tested. So that means the stage is not going to be too big for us when we need to make a play and when we need to really be there to contest and with the game on the line. So it's great that we don't play Ohio State till the last game of the year because we're not going to fear playing against that group. We're really not. And with the kind of run that we're having against them, we're going to come in there with all of our ducks in a row, all our confidence high, and really feel like we can take them on straight on. And if we stop their running game, we make them one dimensional. And now we can really do some great things against them. And they don't really even look that formidable. Like they played Washington, and their Washington game looked pretty much the same. It was 24-8 or 7 or something like that, 6, something crazy like that. It was like a mirror score. So and they consider Ohio State the number one team in the nation. So and they can't handle us in the trenches. So that's just a whole nother situation. So I'll leave it there. That was our breakdown. That was the good, the bad, the ugly, the I Told You So game recap for the Big House Breakdown, college football sports talk, Michigan versus Washington. See y'all on Friday for the preview of Michigan State. Peace and go blue.